Charles Whitfield pulled into his driveway after 4 days away, the weight of his uncle's funeral still heavy on his shoulders. He walked toward the garage, his mind still elsewhere, bracing for the comfort of his workshop. But when he lifted the garage door, he stopped cold. The space was unrecognizable. Every shelf, every bench, every tool gone. In their place, a yoga studio.
Charles, what do you think? I finally cleared out all that junk for my yoga studio.
Then his eyes caught something on the concrete floor. A single wooden hand plane, pushed into a corner.
Grandfather's plane. She left one, just one.
Oh, that old thing. I must have missed it. The donation truck took the rest yesterday.
Do you have any receipts for the donation? Any paperwork at all?
Sandra didn't have receipts. She couldn't even recall the name of the charity. Every trace was gone. That plane was a 1912 Stanley No. 4, his grandfather's first gift. It began a collection he'd built for 40 years. The workshop once held 312 pre-WWI hand tools, planes, chisels, saws, each one cataloged and cared for. 6 years ago, a formal appraisal valued the collection at $340,000, a figure that had steadily climbed. Charles dealed Arthur Loomis, a fellow collector. If anyone would understand the disaster, it was him.
Arthur, Sandra donated all my tools, every piece, no records, no receipt.
She what? Charles, that collection. Do you have any idea where she sent them?
A charity drive she found on Facebook. She can't even remember the name. It's all gone.
We need to find that truck. I'll start asking in the dealer network. Someone will know.
By the time Charles hung up, Arthur had already begun working the phones. Charles turned to his own computer. He logged into the antique tool forums, hoping for a lead. The search was on. He searched Facebook for the charity drive Sandra had mentioned. The event page was gone, deleted within hours of the pickup. The only trace was a cached flyer. Vintage Tool Charity Drive. We pick up. Donate your old tools today. No registration, no charity number.
She gave away a $340,000 collection to a pop-up scam, to a flyer.
He posted on every antique tool forum describing the stolen pieces. Within an hour, a private message arrived. Check the flea market circuit. A dealer named Martin Dell has been selling top-tier Stanleys way below market. Springfield this weekend.
Springfield, 4 hours away. If this Martin has even a handful of my grandfather's tools.
By dawn, he was behind the wheel, a road map open on the passenger seat and the truck pointed west. The highway stretched ahead, but his mind was inside that empty garage. He couldn't afford to lose this lead.
I don't care what it costs. I am not letting these disappear into some stranger's collection.
The flea market was his first real chance to recover any piece of his legacy, and he intended to take it. Charles arrived at the flea market as vendors were still setting up, scanning every stall for familiar iron. He stopped at a table covered with antique tools. There, neatly arranged, were planes he'd known for decades.
These are mine. Where did you get them?
Bought 'em fair and square from a guy clearing out an old workshop. Said it was a charity job.
There was no charity. That man stole them. I want every piece you have.
Martin shrugged, naming a price twice what they were worth. Charles paid it without haggling. He walked away with 7 hand planes and 3 chisels, the weight heavy in a cardboard box.
7 out of 312, and they're all scattered like this.
Martin had sold more to other dealers, and those dealers had sold again. The trail forked in every direction. Charles loaded the box into his truck, the cost already reaching into his savings. But this was just the beginning. Charles set the box of recovered tools on the kitchen table. Sandra's yoga class drifted in from the garage, serene and oblivious.
Oh, you are back. The studio is just divine now. I've added another evening class.
He pulled out a chisel, wiping decades of patina from its edge. His jaw was tight.
Still obsessing over that stuff. The charity was thrilled. You should be grateful.
They were worth more than you'll ever make.
Charles picked up the phone. Arthur answered on the first ring.
Charles, the tools are everywhere. Auctions, flea markets, private sales across 3 states.
Arthur explained that the scam ring had been dispersing them for months, piece by piece.
Buying them back, one at a time, will take months and cost a fortune.
The 7 pieces on the table were just the beginning. The rest were scattered like dust. Charles started driving to every estate sale and auction that matched the forum leads, no matter the distance. At a packed auction, he outbid strangers for a single transitional plane, paying nearly double what it was worth. At checkout, he handed over cash without a word. 3 more pieces reclaimed.
Another 200 gone. At this rate, my savings won't last the month.
He drove through 3 states in a single week, the highway signs blurring into a single chase, the passenger seat filled with receipts. $12, $18, $24 for small planes, hundreds for the rare ones.
$6,000 gone already, and I've only found 11 pieces.
That night, in a cheap motel, he spread the receipts across the bed and tallied the damage.
I can't keep buying back my own life, but if I stop, they're gone forever.
The numbers were crushing. He was bleeding money for a fraction of what he'd lost, with no end in sight. After 10 days on the road, Charles pulled into his driveway. 18 pieces recovered. Every lead had dried up. He sat in the truck for a long moment, staring at the garage door. From inside, he heard a soft, rhythmic voice guiding a yoga flow.
And inhale. Let go of what no longer serves you. Exhale.
She's teaching people to let go in my workshop, where my grandfather's tools used to hang.
He didn't enter. He just stood in the doorway, watching the women on bamboo mats, his jaw set.
Charles, you are back. Come join us. We have an extra mat.
He walked past her into the house without a word, poured a glass of water, and sat at the kitchen table.
18 out of 312, and the woman who did this is teaching breathing exercises 10 feet away.
He looked at his empty hands. The idea that had been forming for days finally took shape. He needed a lawyer. Divorce had never been on his mind before. Now it felt like the only way to reclaim his life. Arthur called that evening, his voice carrying an urgency Charles hadn't heard since the first day.
Charles, I found a lead. A collector in Morrow County bought a huge batch of antique planes last week. Dozens.
Dozens, Arthur. That could be a major part of my collection. Do you have a name?
He's private, but a dealer friend gave me his address. It's a 6-hour drive.
Charles pulled out his list of recovered tools. Only 18 crossed off. The rest still out there.
If this collector has even 40 pieces, it's worth the trip. But I can't keep spending thousands.
He called Arthur back, and they agreed to meet at Arthur's workshop to plan the trip. The next morning, Charles stood in Arthur's cluttered workshop, a map of the region spread between them.
I've marked every town where your tools have appeared. The trail leads straight to this collector.
One more drive. Then I'll decide what to do about Sandra.
Charles left before dawn, the 6-hour drive to Morrow County, grinding away the last of his optimism. The collector's basement was a museum of stolen legacies, and there, on a back shelf, sat a box of planes bearing his grandfather's stamp.
He knows these are stolen. He's asking $10,000 for what might be 60 pieces of my own collection.
Charles emptied his savings. $15,000 for 73 tools, most of which he'd already owned for decades. That night, in another cheap motel, he added the new pieces to his list. The total recovered now stood at 78 out of 312.
I've spent over $20,000 chasing these. If I don't stop now, I'll lose the house.
Back home, he opened a drawer and found the old appraisal document, its $340,000 figure, staring up at him like an indictment. He called his insurance agent and asked tentatively about a claim, but they'd need itemized proof of loss, and he'd never scheduled the collection separately.
They'll never cover it. I never added a rider. I thought it was paranoid.
But he didn't stop. He started organizing every receipt, every photo, every appraisal, preparing for a fight even he didn't fully understand. As Charles rifled through old folders for the appraisal, he found a leather portfolio he hadn't opened in over a decade. Inside was a separate insurance policy, a fine arts rider specifically for his antique tool collection.
I took this out 12 years ago and completely forgot. It's still active.
The coverage limit was $350,000, more than the collection's appraised value.
Sandra never knew about this policy. Nobody knew. This changes everything.
He dialed the insurance company with the policy in his hand, his voice calm but full of intent.
I need to file a claim under my fine arts rider, an antique tool collection stolen through a fraudulent charity donation.
The adjuster confirmed the policy was active and asked for photos, receipts, and the appraisal. He wrote down the claim number on a notepad, his hand finally steady after weeks of shaking.
78 pieces I saved myself. For the rest, I have this. The insurance will fight for what I can't reach.
Charles dialed Arthur, his voice steadier than it had been in weeks.
You had a separate policy this whole time? Charles, that changes everything.
A fine arts rider I took out years ago, up to $350,000. It's still active.
Then you need to file the claim immediately. Do you have the photos and the appraisal?
Already done. I filed this morning. They have everything they need.
He'd already faxed over the itemized list and the receipt copies, the machine humming its quiet confirmation.
The insurance will cover the value, but I want the tools themselves. Every one I can lay hands on.
Then we keep pushing. The forums have new leads. A couple of estate sales this weekend.
They opened the map again, circling towns and penciling in routes. The search now backed by something solid.
Every piece I recover is one less the insurance fights for, and one more that comes home.
He packed a small bag and cash. The map of weekend estate sales open on the passenger seat. At a dusty barn sale, he found a paring chisel with his grandfather's initials still etched into the handle.
Another piece home. It's not about the number anymore.
He paid without negotiating, tucked the chisel into his pack, and headed back to the truck. That night, he sat in his study, the recovered tools laid out on the desk, the insurance file open beside them.
I need a lawyer, not to threaten, just to understand what a divorce would look like.
The following Tuesday, he walked into a small law office, a manila envelope under his arm. He didn't file, he just listened. About uncontested divorce, property division, what his insurance claim might mean.
30 years of marriage, and I am in a lawyer's office. She gave away my past without a second thought.
He left with a draft petition in his briefcase, a retainer signed, and a clear picture of what the next months would cost. The insurance adjuster called on a Thursday morning, asking for close-up photos of the tools and a notarized copy of the appraisal.
They're treating this seriously. The claim might actually go through.
He scanned every document he had and emailed them before lunch, his response almost automatic. That afternoon, in the lawyer's office, the draft petition had become a final document. It waited for his signature.
30 years. And it comes down to a pen on this paper.
He signed his name, the pen pressing hard into the paper, the date written beneath it.
You'll never guess. I'm adding aromatherapy to the studio. The whole garage will smell like lavender.
Lavender. She's spending money on scents while my tools are scattered across 3 states. That's nice, Sandra.
He walked past her to his study, where the signed divorce petition sat in his briefcase, and the insurance claim waited for resolution. The scent of lavender clung to the house. Charles packed a bag and left for Arthur's.
You are here as long as you want, Charles. Coffee's on.
I need distance till the insurance clears. Then I serve the papers.
Arthur nodded, made coffee, and cleared a space on his bench. The adjuster called. The claim was approved. The check would take weeks.
It's happening. $260,000. I can settle this cleanly. Arthur, it's approved. Now I wait for the check. Then I serve Sandra.
You are doing the right thing. She never respected what those tools meant.
Charles settled into the spare room, the divorce petition in a folder, waiting for the mail. The check was weeks away. Charles waited, calm for the first time. The divorce would follow the moment it cleared. After 2 weeks at Arthur's, Charles returned to the house. The signed divorce petition still sat in his briefcase, waiting for the right moment.
You've been gone so much. And when you are here, you look right through me. Is something going on?
I am just worn out, Sandra. The funeral, the driving, it caught up with me. She accepts it. She always does. The check can't come soon enough.
That night, in his study, he pulled out the divorce papers and read them again, line by line.
The moment that check clears, I hand her these. Not a minute later.
I saw the most beautiful bamboo fountain for the studio. It'll be so peaceful.
She's decorating my workshop with a fountain.
He kept the divorce folder locked in his truck, counting the days until the insurance check arrived. The mail came and went each day, but the check would arrive soon, and with it, the end. 3 weeks later, a cream envelope from the insurance company landed in his mailbox. Charles carried it to his truck, alone. His hands were steady as he slid his finger under the flap and pulled out the check.
$260,000. More than I've saved in a lifetime.
He stared at the number for a full minute, then folded the check into his shirt pocket and turned the ignition. At the bank, he slid the check across the counter and asked to open a single account trust in his name only. The trust documents were printed, signed, and notarized within the hour. The balance was his alone.
Sandra knows nothing about this account or the insurance. That money is safe.
The teller handed him a deposit receipt. Charles tucked it into his wallet beside the divorce petition.
Tonight. I'll give her the papers tonight. No more waiting.
He drove home with the trust receipt on the passenger seat, the weight of 30 years, settling into a single, clear decision. The garage door slid open, and Charles found Sandra arranging blocks and straps for her next yoga class.
Charles, I thought you'd be at Arthur's. The studio is almost perfect.
I came back to give you something.
He pulled the divorce petition from the envelope and placed it in her hands.
What is this? Divorce? Charles? What are you talking about?
The tools you gave away were worth $340,000. My grandfather's collection.
That's impossible. They were just old junk.
I had an insurance policy you never knew about. They paid me $260,000 this morning.
Sandra's face crumbled. She sank onto the yoga mat, sobbing.
The money is in a trust in my name. I'll be filing the divorce on Tuesday.
Sandra packed her things in silence, leaving behind the yoga mats and the bamboo fountain she had just bought. By Thursday, the house was his alone. Charles stood in the garage, looking at the mirrors and the yoga blocks. He called a contracting crew. The bamboo flooring came up in strips, the mirrors came off the walls, and the scent of lavender finally began to fade. Charles brought in the first tool chest, a heavy red cabinet on wheels. The drawers still empty.
This is where the bench will go, and the planes on the wall, just like before.
Piece by piece, the recovered tools found their places. The 78 planes and chisels lined up on fresh pine shelving. Arthur arrived with a housewarming gift, a vintage machinist's lamp for the workbench.
It's not the same collection, but it's mine again, and this space is mine.
The yoga studio was gone. The Whitfield workshop was coming back. He placed the last recovered chisel into the rack and stepped back. The workshop was nearly complete. The 1912 Stanley No. 4 went onto a small shelf by itself, lit by the machinist's lamp Arthur had brought.
Grandfather's plane, back where it belongs. The first tool in, the last one placed.
The next morning, a letter from the insurance company arrived. The claim was officially closed, the matter settled.
$260,000. The trust is untouched. The tools I lost are paid for, and I still have my workshop.
The divorce decree was a week away. Sandra had already signed her part, unwilling to contest anything she now understood.
It's not about the money. It's about what she never respected.
He spent the afternoon at the bench, oiling each plane, the scent of mineral oil replacing lavender. Sunlight streamed through the garage window, catching the polished steel and casting warm light across the workbench.
It's done. The collection, the marriage, the fight. It's all finally done.
Charles stood alone in the workshop. the evening light pooling on the concrete floor. He picked up the 1912 Stanley No. 4, turning it over in his hands.
Grandfather bought this plane in 1919, worked with it for 50 years, gave it to me with his hands already rough.
He ran his thumb along the patina, feeling the weight of 3 generations.
78 pieces came back. 234 are lost, but the insurance made it right.
He thought about the miles, the motels, the flea markets, the anger, the divorce, all of it leading back here.
Sandra never saw the value, but grandfather's plane is still here.
Loss and recovery had reshaped him. The workshop felt like a sanctuary now, not just a collection.
It cost a marriage, but I kept my word to him.
He set the plane back on its shelf and smiled, a quiet, earned peace settling over him. The camera pulls back from the workbench, the entire workshop glowing in the last warmth of sunset. Tools gleamed on shelves, shadow and lamplight mixing with the amber falling through the window.
Some things are worth more than money. Some things you carry.
The 1912 plane rested on its shelf, the patina deepened by the dying light. The garage smelled of wood and oil, not lavender. The last reminders of a yoga studio were gone.
This is where I'll work tomorrow, and the day after, and every day I want to.
The tools waited in the quiet, arranged and ready. No one would take them again. Charles turned off the lamp and stepped back into the house, leaving the workshop in silence. The garage door came down, the light spilling through its seams, a warm glow in the dusk. Inside, the tools waited for another dawn. The workshop was whole again. Before dawn, the workshop was silent. The first light brushed the worn wood of an old plane. Its blade bore the patina of a century, the handle smoothed by 3 generations of hands. On the side, carved letters were still visible. CW, 1912. Charles Whitfield's grandfather had carved those initials. They outlasted a marriage, a scam, and the miles of 3 states. Now they rested in a workshop that smelled of oil and wood, no trace of lavender. The collection was smaller, but the heart of it remained. It was never about the money. Not to his grandfather, and not to him. It was always about the work, and the work goes on, in the hands of a man who kept his promise. The garage door stayed up that morning, a warm light spilling onto the driveway like an invitation.